back, everybody. It's the third hour of the Black Friday Supercard. And I'm not kidding when I say we've saved the most intense 3 matches of the night for this final hour tonight.
And 2 of the 3 are championship matches. Pretty intense ones.
And we begin hour 3 with a non-title contest, but it's the rekindling of a long-standing grudge between the living legend Larry Zbyszko and the Game, Triple H.
Okay, now stay with me. This thing with Zbyszko and Triple H goes all the way back to June 18th, 1994, when Triple H, then wrestling as John Paul Levesque, challenged Larry Zbyszko for the World Championship Wrestling television title. The match ended in controversy. Zbyszko was not happy, and so here we are again.
The next match is set for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Making his way down to the ring from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, weighing 238 pounds, the living legend, Larry Zbyszko.
A grudge going back over 30 years, Myron, that is insane. Why did you even entertain the thought?
Because it's a supercard, and we needed something, we're ramping it up. We're pulling out all the stops, ain't we? So, what the hell? Larry Zbyszko and Triple H today? Going to be as great a battle as it was in 1994, even if there is no television title on the line here.
Well, that match did end in controversy. However, Larry Zbyszko retained the WCW television title, although it was under a cloud of tremendous controversy with Triple H being disqualified at the end of it. Well, I guess we'll find out now which one of these two is going to pick up the win here tonight some 30 years later.
I got to admit, I looked at Larry for a full 10 seconds without saying a single word. I couldn't believe it. But then I said, well, it's Black Friday. Let's do it.
And his opponent from Greenwich, Connecticut, weighing 260 pounds, the Game, Triple H.
30 plus years is a very long time to hold a grudge over one single television title match, but apparently Larry Zbyszko, who claims to have retired Bruno Sammartino and Nick Bockwinkel, is perhaps thinking he can take out the Game. But nonetheless, Triple H, an icon unto himself, is going to present a very difficult challenge to Larry Zbyszko, just as much as he did then.
This is about the longest delay between 2 matches I've ever heard of, 41 years. Sounds to me like Larry Zbyszko woke up on the wrong side of the psychiatrist's couch before asking for this one. I can't even imagine the Game's reaction to that. But you can't say we don't deliver the goods here at our WL. It's a generational battle of the old guard, represented by Zbyszko and the Game, one of the men who helped define the Attitude Era, one of the most exciting periods in pro wrestling history.
It's definitely a little bit nuts, but it's definitely a worthy match to start off the third and final hour of tonight's Supercard. I won't bet on the possible outcome here, but I'm sure this match is gonna get some attention from the fans.
That's exactly what I was thinking, GB. I mean, how can you go wrong? 2 all-time greats like Zbyszko and Triple H? That's Supercard worthy in my book.
It's gonna be very, very one-sided. You could hear the fan reaction here in Austin to the Game's arrival. And Triple H don't make too many appearances here in RWL, so it's something special every time he does. But oh boy, Larry Zbyszko, he's up against it big time here tonight.
You're not wrong, Tex. Listen to this crowd reaction to Triple H. It's absolutely, you can hardly hear yourself thinking here.
Well, they say an elephant never forgets, and, well, I guess Larry Zbyszko might be part elephant. To re-escalate this feud, Walt Roughburn rings the bell. Here we go. Kick to the midsection from Larry Zbyszko. Gets a hold of Triple H, tries with a suplex, but the Game counters with a shot to the midsection, slams Larry Zbyszko down with one arm. Rounds him back up. Zbyszko catches a neck breaker from the Game. Triple H Sits him up and starts trying to twist his head off. Working on the head and neck of Larry Zbyszko. Slams his head down to the canvas. Follows that up with a stomp to the midsection. Zbyszko rounded up by the game. Tries for the backbreaker, but Zbyszko quick with the counter. Gets a hold of Triple H. Gets a hold of the trunk. Snap suplex from Larry Zbyszko. A stomp to the back of Triple H. And right away into a blatant choke. Larry Zbyszko not going to play this particular game fairly. Never does. Zbyszko drops an elbow right on the dome of Triple H. Sits the game up. Zbyszko getting ready to do some showing off. Catches a punch in the face from the game. That was not a wise move from Larry Zbyszko. Triple H whips Zbyszko to the far right corner. Countered by Larry Zbyszko with an elbow up over the shoulders in a fireman's carry. The game counters DDT to Larry Zbyszko. Triple H starts unloading with right hands to the head. Follows that up with a stomp to the midsection. Quickly going for a cover here. One. But just a one. Zbyszko powers out. Gets back up on his feet. The game with a hard overhand right. Misses with the shot to the midsection, but a headlock takedown. And Larry Zbyszko back in trouble again. Triple H in control of things right now. Zbyszko being set up by the game here. Winds up the arm. Winds up the other arm. Oh, man. Triple H torquing both arms on Larry Zbyszko. Zbyszko back up to a standing position. Steps out of the ring for... Yep, Larry Zbyszko a little bit frustrated right now. A quick jab to Triple H on the outside. The game counters another DDT. Head first into the floor goes the living legend. Triple H with a kick to the midsection and a clothesline takes Zbyszko down. The referee is already counting. A driving knee into the head of Zbyszko. The game rounds him up another high-rising knee to the head of Zbyszko. Triple H countered. Larry gets him back inside the ring. And here comes Larry Zbyszko. Misses with the stomp, but connects with a clothesline that takes the game down to the canvas. Larry's gouging the face of the game. Zbyszko with a drop kick. Takes the game down to the canvas. Triple H counters. Quickly back up on his feet. Larry Zbyszko using the ropes to get to a standing position. Triple H still in control of things right now. Whoa! Well, I spoke too soon. Over the top rope and out onto the floor goes the game. Triple H counters Zbyszko. Dragon screw on the outside. Triple H makes his way back inside the ring. Zbyszko gets a hold of the ankle and yanks him and hangs him up the top rope. Triple H momentarily stunned. Zbyszko up into a fireman's carry. Oh, man, driving knee into the midsection of Triple H. Larry Zbyszko trying to turn things around here. And what in the hell is this? Oh, he's doing a little bit of Val Venus here, a little bit of showing off, a little bit of showboating to the game. Set of hard lefts to the head of Triple H. Larry Zbyszko gathers up the game. Swing and a miss. And an elbow. And another. Swing and a miss from Triple H again. A rebound off the ropes. And a spine buster from Larry Zbyszko. Triple H makes it to the corner. Quickly evades Zbyszko. Misses with the rising knee. Zbyszko misses with the swing. Into the corner goes Larry Zbyszko. Zbyszko counters. Triple H gets a hold of him. Another DDT. Head first into the canvas goes Larry Zbyszko. Triple H still dominant so far. Larry Zbyszko gets caught up. Oh, look at this. A leg lock. Stretching the legs, the knees, the tendons, the everything on Larry Zbyszko. A stomp from Triple H. An elbow from Zbyszko. Zbyszko countered by the game. There's a shot to the midsection. Zbyszko counters with a left. A chop across the chest of Triple H. Up over the shoulder. But again, the game counters. An inverted DDT to Zbyszko. The game covers. One. Not even a one. Larry Zbyszko powering out. Triple H rounded up. Here we go. A quick counter from Larry Zbyszko into a dragon screw. Zbyszko drags the game towards center ring. A stomp to the midsection. Oh man, the living legend busted up pretty good so far. Triple H counters with an elbow. Another takedown of Larry Zbyszko. who rolls to the outside. Triple H still firmly in control of things. As he rolls to the outside to join Zbyszko out there, there's a forearm. Larry Zbyszko rolls back inside the ring by Triple H, who slides back in himself. Zbyszko with a belly-to-belly suplex on the game. Zbyszko countered a shoulder tackle from Triple H. Triple H rounds him up. Zbyszko counters again, another shot to the midsection. The game up against the ropes, and a clothesline takes him over the top rope and out onto the floor. Zbyszko rebounds off the rope. Whoa! Over the top rope. Human missile. Takes the game down on the outside. Referee Walt Rothburn counting the game. Zbyszko restarts the count. Going back outside again after Triple H. Slams him into the barricade. Oh, man. Zbyszko trying to get a rally going here. Larry Zbyszko caught by Triple H into a back body drop. A gouge of the face from the game to Zbyszko. Oof, man, double arm suplex from Triple H. A stomp to the back of the head of Larry Zbyszko. Triple H gonna do it again, winds up both arms. And yanking for all he is worth. Zbyszko finds his way out of the hole, gets back to a standing position. Triple H up over the shoulder again. That fireman's carry is not working for Larry Zbyszko. Triple H counters him one more time. Another elbow to the back of the head of Zbyszko. Triple H rolls him back inside the ring. Uh-oh, look at this. Out on the apron, slam. Face first into the apron by the game. Oh, man. Larry Zbyszko laid out near the corner. There's a stomp to the midsection from Triple H. A stomp to the arm. Triple H rounds him up. Zbyszko counters with a kick to the midsection. Steps outside again. He is definitely frustrated. He is not making any headway against Triple H here so far. The game has him up. Long vertical suplex on the outside to Larry Zbyszko. Again, the referee counting. Triple H rounds him up. Zbyszko quickly counters, shoves the game away. Triple H counters with an arm drag. The game winds up the arm. Zbyszko counters with a shot to the face of the game. The game counters with an elbow to the leg of Zbyszko. A knee to the midsection. Zbyszko with a kick to the gut. An elbow from Triple H. The game makes his way back inside. Inverted Russian leg sweep. Triple H slammed face first into the canvas by Zbyszko. Zbyszko gets countered by the game on arm snap. The game winds up the arm again, but Zbyszko counters with a forearm. A kick puts Triple H up against the ropes. Zbyszko whips him to the opposing side, and an elbow takes him down the canvas. Huh. Wow, this one's crazy. Zbyszko whips the game towards the ropes. A nice high hip toss from Larry Zbyszko, who's starting to look a little bit fatigued and is bleeding like a stuck pig. Huh. Zbyszko slams Triple H face first into the canvas, rallying him to get back up, but the game, for the first time, looking like he's in trouble. Zbyszko goes for a cover. 1, 2. A near fall. The game kicking out of the pin before the count of 3. Zbyszko can't believe it. Larry Zbyszko catches a gouge to the face. The game with a kick to the midsection, and he's setting it up. There's the pedigree, and Larry Zbyszko is laid out. Triple H covers, hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3, and what an intense ride that was. Triple H defeats Larry Zbyszko by pinfall.
The time was 9 minutes and 43 seconds, and your winner, Triple H.
Every so often we hear the phrase, be careful what you wish for. And apparently that is a lesson Larry Zbyszko just learned the hard way. Triple H, battered, bleeding, and bruised, but nonetheless picking up the pinfall victory over the self-professed living legend in this matchup. And when we return, the Joyce Grable Memorial title being defended by Liberty Belle Danielle Heathcote against Toni Storm in just a moment.
Fans, before the next match gets started, just a quick programming note. Obviously, tonight's Supercard means there won't be an edition of Snarl for November 29th. But our next regular card will be RWL Rage, which will be Monday night, December 1st.
And our next regularly scheduled edition of Snarl will start Saturday night, December the 6th, and we sure look forward to your joining us for those as we wend our way towards the Memphis Million at the end of the month.
Right now, let's take a little trip back in time.
The crowd here in Dallas just about losing it, because here comes Timeless Toni Storm.
She promised she'd show up tonight, and she was as good as her word. She's totally got her sights set on the Joyce Grable Memorial title, and man alive, this meeting with Liberty Belle Danielle before their match next week at Black Friday. It's likely to be colorful in the extreme, much like Toni Storm herself.
Storm earned that #1 contender spot earlier this month, surviving an encounter with 7 other opponents to make it here. But I don't think Danielle is used to an opponent that just wants pure competition, instead of the usual, I hate you and want to rip your guts out.
You're pretty quiet, Tex, honestly. What do you think about all this?
I think it's been about as colorful a birthday as you could dream up. I can't wait to see what these two got to say for themselves.
I should tell you straight away, I've made quite the study of you, and you are, without question, an extraordinary talent. After all, no one becomes a ladies' Triple Crown champion if they aren't an extraordinary talent. You might not know this about me, but I am something of a historian on ladies' wrestling. And who, would you think, would be one of my favorite subjects?
Haven't got a clue, but I'm sure you're going to tell me, aren't you?
What do you truly know about Joyce Grable? Without descending into personal attacks, I'll just say that I'm far more knowledgeable on the history of the woman whose name graces that Memorial Tournament championship. And I think that makes me eminently more qualified to wear that title than you are.
Okay, so you've got some knowledge, but what really matters, Toni? I fought through a seriously tough tournament to get the title, and since then, no one's been able to get it away from me. You know, knowledge is a great thing, but all you really need to know is, I'm not parting with the belt, not for you, or anyone else, regardless of how much you know about Joyce Grable. You're not going to be facing Joyce at Black Friday. You're going to be facing me, and this belt has some serious meaning for me, even if I didn't know all that stuff about her.
I admire your spunk, Danielle, and I think our match next week will define for everyone who's more deserving of being Joyce Grable Memorial Champion. And it's like I told you 2 weeks ago, I'm going to pop your cherry on the 28th, and I intend to leave you weak, exhausted, and lying in a pool of your own sweat, and trust me, love, it will be an intimate experience that you'll never forget for as long as you live. I'm quite good at that. You can ask anyone.
You've got a great sense of humor, Toni. And while I think that's great, there's not going to be any cherry popping at Black Friday, but there might just be a whole lot of Timeless Toni Storm tapping out to me. And I think maybe we should just stop right there. I'm glad to see you're reliable when it comes to showing up. See you next week, and we'll just see who's more eminently qualified to hold that title.
Oh God, look at this here Timeless Toni Storm displaying an almost encyclopedic knowledge of Joyce Grable. And I don't think Danielle was entirely too impressed, but next week at Black Friday is going to be as off the chain as it comes.
And all of that brings us to tonight, a title match that has been in the making for several weeks as Timeless Toni Storm challenges Liberty Belle Danielle Heathcote for the Joyce Grable Memorial Championship.
This next match, set for one fall, with a 15-minute time limit, is for the RWL Joyce Grable Memorial Championship.
Boy, I'll tell you, a lot of people looking forward to this particular match.
Well, if you grew up in New York City like I did, you recognize the theme from Gone with the Wind as the theme from WOR Television's $1 Million movie every night of the week.
And it's kind of a fitting theme for Toni Storm, with that whole Hollywood glamour thing she's got going.
Timeless Toni Storm is one of the hottest, most popular women in the pro wrestling world today, blazing herself quite the trail at All Elite Wrestling, where she's a former AEW Women's Champion. We've had her grace our own RWL rings a time or two, like her match in London over the summer against Mercedes Moné, but tonight she's got her sights set on the Joyce Grable Memorial title. And she sure does know quite a bit about Grable herself. But as Danielle Heathcote pointed out at Snarl last week, knowing ain't even half the battle. Liberty Belle Danielle's got 3 titles for herself. But the JGM title is by far the one she values most.
Danielle won that title in the JGM tournament and has never let it fall into anyone else's hands over the last 2 years. So Tex, as her fellow choice, I guess you know a little about what's going through her mind about this confrontation with Toni Storm.
You know the same things I do, Wally. American Powers lost the Women's World Tag Team Championships to Power and Beauty over the summer, and yeah, that stung her. And it messed things up between her and Patty for a little while, but everything's back on track now. But she would just, the thought of her losing that Joyce Grable title would just be entirely too traumatic for her and for me, because I'd have to deal with the mess.
Well, on the lighter side of the argument, Toni Storm has certainly been trying to wrong-foot Danielle Heathcote with her character, speaking constantly in innuendo and double entendre, suggesting that she's going to pop Liberty Belle Danielle's cherry. And well, somebody else pick this up, please.
Yeah, it's true. Toni Storm has got a way of making people blush, and I suppose she made Danielle Heathcote blush just a little bit. But as far as that Joyce Grable championship goes, she is not willing to let it go without a fight, and we're going to see one right here tonight.
Toni's way with words, dirty ones in particular, is one of her better psychological ploys. And it's one of the things that has made her mad popular with fans. But if Danielle's serious about hanging on to the JGM title, she's gotta ignore all that noise.
The challenger from the Gold Coast of Australia. Here is timeless Toni Storm. Her opponent from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's an RWL Triple Crown champion and the reigning Joyce Grable Memorial champion, All-American Liberty Belle Danielle Heathcote.
Boy, I'll tell you, my palms are sweating, my mouth is dry. I don't know whether it's from the excitement of this upcoming match or hanging out in your truck, Tex.
Maybe a little bit of both, Myron. But there it is, the Joyce Grable Memorial title means more to Danielle than anything in the whole wide world except maybe me. Man, that crowd is going crazy. Well, now, what a matchup we've got going here. Let's see how it all shakes out. As referee Tom Kanamura sounds the bell, they come center ring. They lock it up, collar and elbow. Danielle, countered by Toni Storm into a DDT. Storm with a Hurricane Rana on Danielle. Toni Storm goes behind, drops an elbow across the chest of Liberty Belle Danielle. One elbow to the face, down she goes. There's a stomp to the midsection. Followed up with a stomp to the shoulder. A little bit of showboating here from Toni Storm. Well, that's to be expected. Storm makes her way to the top far left turnbuckle. Danielle's laid out, and there's a big-time crossbody. Here's a pin attempt. 1, 2. A near fall. Pretty early on. Oh man, here's a kick to the midsection from Toni Storm, a rebound off the ropes, and a neck breaker to Danielle. Followed up with a stomp to the back. Double boot stomp right to the midsection, a kick to the chest. Danielle quickly back up on her feet. Toni Storm with a wheelbarrow jawbreaker. Oh man. Storm drops an elbow on the leg, starts raining knuckles on the knee of Liberty Belle Danielle. Storm goes for another pin. 1. Just a 1 that time. Danielle kicking out of the pin. Toni Storm definitely looking smug in the early goings here. Drop toe hold from Danielle. Stretching the legs of Toni Storm. Storm turns it over. Tags Danielle with a couple of shots. Gets herself loose from the hold. Toni Storm with a couple of rights, a left, has her up over the shoulder, slams her down. Oh man, Danielle makes her way to a standing position in the corner. Toni Storm right there waiting for her. There's a boot right to the throat. Toni Storm, real aggressive here. Gets a hold of Danielle by the ankles. Alley-oops her out of the corner. Toni Storm misses with the crossbody. Danielle tags her with a right across the head, tags her with a second one, stuns her. Goes behind on her, and there's a German suplex. Danielle finally starting to mount some offense here. She locks up with Toni Storm. Whips her over the top rope, out onto the apron. There's a hard right hand and a drop kick that puts Toni Storm out on the floor on the outside. Referee's already counting. Danielle gonna follow her on out, start the count all over again. Toni Storm drives her into the ring steps. Whoa, man. Timeless Toni Storm hurls Danielle to the opposing side of the ring, misses with the elbow. Danielle quickly back up on her feet. Another drop toe hold on the outside, another leg stretch to Toni Storm. Toni Storm again turns it over, tags Danielle with a couple of rights and gets herself loose from the hold. Both ladies back up on their feet. Toni Storm slams Danielle's head into the apron. Rounds her up. Danielle quickly makes her way back inside the ring, followed closely by Toni Storm. Danielle catches a drop toe hold of her own. Toni Storm retaliating with a leg stretch of her own, and Danielle turns it around on Toni Storm. Oh, man. Both ladies back up to a standing position. Hard right spins Toni Storm around. Danielle goes behind on her. Gets a hold of her. Nice suplex from Liberty Bell Danielle. Danielle with a flip over neck whip on Toni Storm. And a little bit of showboating from Danielle, who's apparently not feeling too bad. Toni Storm whipped to the ropes. Here she comes. Danielle goes behind on her. Suplex with a pin and a bridge. 1, 2. Oh, man, just a 1. Toni Storm gets herself back to a standing position. Danielle right there waiting for her. Winds up the arm on her. Gets her down on the mat. There's a stomp to the shoulder. Liberty Bell Danielle with a stomp to the back of Toni Storm. Dragging her face down towards the center of the ring. Toni Storm rolls to the ropes, gets herself stood up again. Danielle right there waiting for her. And starts bouncing her off the ropes with hard forearms to the back. Danielle goes behind on her, gets a hold of her, double arm suplex to Toni Storm. Danielle catches an elbow to the midsection from Toni Storm. A snap suplex to Danielle. Danielle quickly counters another drop toe hold back into that leg stretch. She's wearing her out for a possible submission, but too close to the ropes, has to start all over again. An elbow drop across the chest of Toni Storm. Toni Storm makes her way back into the ring after a quick reset, a couple of kicks, goes behind on Danielle, German release suplex. As Danielle rolls to the outside, Storm takes herself to the top far right turnbuckle, a fist drop to Danielle on the outside with the referee already counting. Toni Storm with another forearm to Danielle. Oh man, this match is going to be a ride and a half right here. Toni Storm winds up the leg on Danielle and snaps it. He's working on those lower limbs. Toni Storm rolls Danielle back inside the ring. Follows her on in herself. Danielle back up. Gets a hold of Storm. Whips her to the ropes. Makes the duck under. And woo! Nice wraparound neckbreaker. Here's a pin dead center ring. 1, 2. Another near fall. Again, the Joyce Grable Memorial title hanging in the balance on this one. Storm quickly rolls up, cross body to Danielle. Here's a pin and a hook of the leg. 1, 2. And another near fall in this matchup. Wow. Toni Storm takes herself up to the top middle rope. Boom! Oh, fist drop right to the face of Danielle. There's a stomp to the back of the head. Toni Storm gets a hold of the leg and snaps it. Neither one of these ladies is given an inch out here. Here's a stomp to the back. Double boot stomp to the midsection. A kick to the chest. Danielle makes her way to the corner. Toni Storm puts the boot to the throat of Liberty Belle Danielle. The Timeless One stalking Danielle Heathcote here as she takes herself to the middle rope again and takes the dive and misses with the elbow. Danielle quickly up. There's a drop kick, takes Toni Storm down to the canvas. Danielle flips her over and sets up a nasty stretch, stretching the back and the legs of Toni Storm, probably working towards a submission somewhere down the road. Toni Storm against the ropes, a chop across the chest from Danielle, who drapes the leg over the middle rope, starts playing tug of war with Toni Storm's leg. Danielle locks her up. Belly to belly suplex. Down goes Toni Storm. Danielle rounds her up again, gets a hold on her, pitches her towards the ropes. Oof! Kitchen sink knee to the gut for Toni Storm. Liberty Belle Danielle dragging Toni Storm towards center. Danielle winds up the arm on her, snaps the arm, follows it up with a stomp to the leg. Toni Storm shoves her back, and the momentum has shifted back and forth like Hollywood romances here. Another knee to the midsection to Toni Storm from Danielle Heathcote, who is definitely rallying the fans here in Austin. She is determined to hang on to that JGM title. Winds up the arm on Toni. There's a kick to the ribs. Liberty Belle Danielle finally with the momentum on her side in this one. There's a kick to the leg. Liberty Belle Danielle again dragging Toni Storm as close to center ring as she can get her. Winds up the arm on Toni Storm and snaps it one more time. Oh, okay. Liberty Belle Danielle sets up the sharpshooter. Here's a possible submission. Toni Storm not close enough to the ropes to make a break. Danielle releases the hold, and Toni Storm is motionless. And so one more time, Liberty Belle Danielle drags Toni Storm towards center ring. Here we go. She's setting up the crossface. We could see a tap out right here. Oh man, she's got it locked in, stretching Toni Storm for all she is worth. Releases the hold again. Toni Storm looking like she's in all kinds of pain right about now. Danielle grappled by Toni Storm. Whipped to the ropes. Swing and a miss by Toni Storm. Danielle ducks out of the way, pitches her over the top rope out onto the floor, and here she goes in hot pursuit. Liberty Belle Danielle definitely feeling it now. There's a stomp. Toni Storm counters with a kick, gets back up, gets a hold of Danielle, rolls her back inside the ring. Timeless Toni Storm charges. There's another wheelbarrow jawjacker to Danielle Heathcote. Danielle in the far left corner. Toni Storm right there waiting for her. Playing a game of tug of war with Danielle's arm. A chop across the chest. Timeless Toni Storm smashes Danielle's head into the turnbuckle. Rounds her up over the shoulder. Hangs her up in the tree of woe. Oh man. Neither one of these ladies is playing any games here. Toni Storm up on the top rope, and a double boot stomp to the chest from the tree of woe position. Here's another cover. 1, 2, nope, just a 1, says Tom Kanemaru. Toni Storm goes to work on the head and neck of Liberty Belle Danielle. In this match, we've got about 3.5 minutes left to go. A blatant choke from Timeless Toni Storm. Misses with the double boot stomp. Danielle quickly back up. Delivers a set of shots to Toni Storm. And there's a quick Hurricane Rana, taking Storm down to the mat. Another flip over neck whip from Danielle Heathcote. Toni Storm quickly making her way up to the standing position from the ropes. And Danielle blatantly choking her with the rope. Well, all politeness is gone now. Here's another drop toe hold and another stretching of the legs for timeless Toni Storm. Referee checking it out, but Toni Storm turns it around, and another set of shots to Danielle disengages the hold. Both ladies to a stand. Ooh, a running spear takes her down. Here's another cover. 1, 2. Danielle wisely reaching out for that bottom rope. Toni Storm's got to start from 0. Timeless Toni Storm dragging Danielle towards center ring. Danielle quickly making her way to the corner and out onto the apron. Toni Storm follows her on out. Danielle takes her down off the apron, catches a shot to the midsection from Toni Storm, quickly rolls back up. A hard right spins Toni Storm around on the outside, and a Russian leg sweep. Narrowly approaching the ramp, Liberty Bell Danielle, indicating to the fans that she's okay. Well, thank goodness for that. An armbar stretch to Toni Storm from Liberty Bell Danielle. 2 minutes left to go. Well, something's got to give soon. Danielle with a cravat suplex to Toni Storm. Liberty Bell Danielle gathers Toni Storm up, and a brainbuster on the outside, on the floor. There's a kick to the chest. Danielle might be trying to wear her out on the outside. Toni Storm counters with both boots, gets back up to a standing position, gets a hold of Danielle Heathcote. Another forearm takes Danielle down to the floor. Toni Storm, locked up by Danielle, rolls back inside the ring. Danielle makes her way back in. The count is over. There's a stomp to the back. An elbow drop to the chest of Toni Storm by Danielle Heathcote. Liberty Bell Danielle one more time with the flip over neck whip. Toni Storm catching all kinds of hell right about now with less than a minute to go. Well, this one's been an intense ride. Toni Storm out on the apron. Danielle tags her with a right, joins her on the apron, and drops her on the lip of the apron, crashing to the floor. Misses with the rolling elbow. Toni Storm quickly back up. Less than 30 seconds to go. Danielle pitched to the opposing side of the ring. An elbow drop from Toni Storm. Toni rounds her up. Gets a hold of Danielle by the hair. Rolls her back inside the ring. Less than 15 seconds to go. Toni Storm locked up by Liberty Bell Danielle. A hard whip to the ropes. A kitchen sink knee to the gut. And Danielle quickly going for the pin with 2 seconds to go. And oh man, I don't believe it.
The time limit has expired, and referee Tom Kanamura has declared this match a time limit draw. No cantes.
Well, it was a great match, and the title don't change hands. This thing between them is going to be far from settled. Oh boy. Our main event when we return right after this.
And headlining the main event of tonight's Black Friday Supercard, the RWL Women's World Tag Team Championships on the line as Frankie Pacone and Marta Gordon Power and Beauty, accompanied by Sylvia Strong, defend the titles against the UK ladies Grace Fenwick and Jessica Goldman.
The UK ladies, and you know what that means.
That means it's holiday season time, officially Thanksgiving weekend, and that's Christmas music to me.
You guys must have so much fun with him every Saturday, you know?
Yes, he can be a bit of a handful sometimes, but he's a solid general manager, and his commentary speaks for itself. So we're always willing to put up with him, especially when he provides most of the laughs.
That aside, Grace Fenwick and Jessica Goldman were next in line for an opportunity at the Women's World Tag Titles, and they weren't exactly gonna say, no thanks, just the same. I don't think we're gonna see the titles change hands here. That goes back to Sylvia and her managerial approach and the willingness of Frankie and Marta to embrace it. Power and Beauty are as dedicated to gym work and ring training as any of their male counterparts. In the Stronghold, I doubt the UK ladies are doing anything like that level of hard work.
Nice going, Johnny. Talked all the way through the Christmas music. Well, let's move on.
Frances Frankie Picone and Marta Gordon, accompanied by Sylvia Strong, the Women's World Tag Team Champions, and they have been since summer during the Sweet Revenge Tour, having relieved American powers of the titles, and they have not relinquished them since. They have won and lost their share of matches since. They recently lost a match a month ago to Las Reinas, and that might come back to haunt them somewhere down the road when Las Reinas come knocking, looking for an opportunity of their own.
Yeah, but Don, that presupposes they retain the titles tonight. What if the UK ladies wind up winning those belts? That's going to create a lot of tension around here.
Grace and Jessica got skills for sure, but I'm with GB on this one. I don't think Frankie and Marta are going to let that happen. I'm betting they end 2025 still holding the titles.
This evening's main event, set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit, is for the RWL Women's World Tag Team Championships. The challengers from Sussex, England, Grace Fenwick, and from Brisbane, Australia, Jessica Goldman. They are the UK ladies. Their opponents accompanied by Sylvia Strong from Robbinsdale, Minnesota, Frances Frankie Picone, and from Redlands, California, Marta Gordon, the RWL Women's World Tag Team Champions, Power and Beauty.
All right, the excitement here in Austin reaching a fever pitch as Frankie and Marta turn the RWL Women's World Tag Team Championships over to referee of record Walt Rothburn for tonight's main event matchup.
With the sides chosen up, it'll be the sadistic Grace Fenwick and Frankie Picone starting off this main event. And we're off, the ladies. Oh, look at this. A flying punch rebound off the ropes from Grace Fenwick to Frankie Picone. Grace Fenwick with a kick, taking Picone down to the canvas. Grace Fenwick with a wrist clutch forearm to Frankie Picone. Frankie in trouble right away as Grace Fenwick drives both knees into the canvas. Grace Fenwick with a set of mounted lifts to the face of Frankie Picone, followed up with a stomp to the midsection. Fenwick takes herself all the way up to the top turnbuckle. Here we go. Oh, double boot stomp right to the midsection. Oh, and right back in. Oh, look at this. A quick counter. Couple of hard lefts from Frankie, putting Grace Fenwick down on the mat. Fenwick gets the arm wound up, catches a kick to the ribs. Frankie Picone gathers up Grace Fenwick, tries for the drop toe hold, doesn't get it, but catches a kick to the face instead. Pushes away with both boots, gets back up on her feet. Fenwick catches a drop kick from Frankie. Frankie Picone with a quick takedown of Grace as Frankie starts to turn it around here and turns it right over to Marta Gordon. Sylvia Strong rallying the troops here. A hard right. A nice Japanese arm drag from Marta Gordon. Grace Fenwick counters with a kick. Oof, hard right, a kick to the leg. Marta Gordon takes her down the canvas and into a set of mounted punches, rights and lefts, bully style, and straight into an armbar. Nice parlay of moves. But Jessica Goldman right there to break up any possible submission. Grace Fenwick gets a hold of Marta. Suplex takes her down to the mat. And here we go. Grace Fenwick engaging in her favorite activity, sadism, twisting the head. And Marta Gordon, she steps out, turns it over to Jessica Goldman. Jessica right into the arms of Marta Gordon in a nice suplex. An elbow to the midsection from Jessica. Jessica Goldman with a knee to the midsection and a spin kick takes Marta Gordon down. And here comes Grace Fenwick again. The tag early, tag often principle working very effectively here. Marta Gordon goes behind on Grace Fenwick, gets a hold of her, and whips her over the top rope out onto the floor, practically at the feet of Sylvia Strong. And here comes Frankie Picone again on the tag. Grace Fenwick back up on her feet. Gets a hold of Marta, which she's not really supposed to do. But look at this. Oh, wrong side of town, caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. Both Frankie and Marta going to work here. Frankie Pacone with a set of shots. Drops Grace Fenwick to the floor. The referee already counting. Frankie, driven into the barricade, quickly steps out of the way and woohoo, jumping elbow takes Fenwick down. Grace Fenwick rounded up by Frankie Pacone. Driven into the barricade, Sylvia Strong watching. Oh, head first into the barricade goes Grace Fenwick. And into a belly-to-belly suplex. Frankie Pacone really starting to open fire here. Gets a hold of Fenwick, rolls her back inside the ring. Sylvia Strong definitely approving of what she sees as Jessica Goldman is brought in on the tag. Goldman moves in, drives a knee into the head of Frankie Pacone. A rebound off the ropes, misses with a flying punch. Frankie just sidesteps her and turns it over to Marta Gordon. Both teams working real efficiently. Hard whip to the ropes for Goldman. A drop kick from Marta takes her down. Marta right there winds up the arm, slams her down to the canvas, delivers a stomp to the arm. Goes after Fenwick, but Fenwick counters with a forearm. Marta not going to give up yet. Grace Fenwick tags her with a forearm. Steps out of the way. Jessica Goldman taking her time getting back in there, just being frustrated. Rolls back inside the ring. Marta Gordon right there waiting for her. Winds up the arm. Gets her down to the mat. Stomps the shoulder. Marta Gordon takes a walk to her corner and turns it over to Frankie Pacone. Frankie moves in on Jessica. Winds up catching a kick to the head. Frankie Pacone gets a hold of Jessica before she can make it to her corner. Whips her to the ropes. Makes the duck under, makes the leapfrog, and oh, look at this, a beautiful neck breaker from Frankie Pacone. Here's a pin attempt. Let's see where it goes. One. Not even a one. Goldman quickly getting that shoulder up. Frankie Pacone gathers her up, gets a hold of her, goes behind on her German suplex to Jessica Goldman. Jessica trying to make it to her corner again. Frankie Pacone with the prevent, but an enziguri takes her down. Jessica Goldman wastes no time. Look at this, a charge over the top rope, and oh man, took Frankie Pacone down hard. Misses with the running kick. Frankie tags her with a right. Gets her back inside the ring. The count broken. Frankie Pacone with another jumping elbow takes Goldman down. Grace Fenwick desperate to get in there, and she gets the tag. They lock up. There's a kick to the midsection from Grace Fenwick. Frankie Pacone rounded up in a front cradle, slammed into the turnbuckle and turned out to the center of the ring. A kick to the head from Frankie Pacone to Grace Fenwick as Marta Gordon is brought in on the tag again. A whole lot of tags. A running spear from Marta Gordon. Marta rounds her up. Look at this. Beautiful. Oh man, a rolling suplex. There's one. Still got her up. And there's a second one. Grace Fenwick sent flying. A double suplex from Marta Gordon. Gordon rounds her up. Grace Fenwick being escorted towards the Power and Beauty corner. Head first into the turnbuckle she goes, and here comes Frankie Pacone on the tag. Double team incoming. Fenwick whipped to the ropes. A drop toe hold and an elbow to the back. Oh man, Frankie Pacone and Marta Gordon on a roll here. Marta Gordon chases her to the outside. Grace Fenwick laid out on the floor on the wrong side of town. There's an armbar stretch from Frankie Pacone with Marta Gordon looking on. A driving knee into the head of Grace Fenwick. Frankie Pacone goes into that armbar stretch again. Grace Fenwick getting a taste of her own medicine here in this main event tag team title matchup. Fenwick rolled back inside the ring. Sylvia Strong definitely rallying the troops here. And here comes Marta Gordon again. Grace Fenwick just getting to a standing position. Marta Gordon gets a hold of her by the scruff of the neck, pitches her up against the ropes, and gets tossed to the outside by Grace Fenwick. Fenwick makes the tag to Jessica Goldman. Marta Gordon back inside the ring already. Misses with the kick. Jessica misses with the shot, but Marta connects with a series of shots. Jessica Goldman quickly steps out of the way, gets a hold of Marta Gordon and whips her to the ropes. Oof. A knee to the midsection and a spin kick to the back of the head from Jessica Goldman. Marta Gordon shoves her away quickly, gets back up on her feet, locks it up with Jessica Goldman, quickly takes her down to the canvas center ring. Classic wrestling takedown from Marta Gordon. A swing and a miss, but a connect with a clothesline from Jessica Goldman. Goldman rounds her up. Marta Gordon goes for a spinning slam and a quick pin attempt. But Frankie Pacone right there to break it up even before the count of one. She gets a hold of Grace Fenwick, delivers a shot to the back of Grace and pitches her to the outside. Jessica Goldman takes a tag on Frankie Pacone. Marta Gordon, the legal woman in the ring, gets back inside. Jessica Goldman raining shots on the head of Frankie Pacone. Marta Gordon breaking that up quick, saving her partner from some trouble. There's a stomp to the shoulder. Marta Gordon moves back in on Jessica Goldman, tags her with a right, tags her with a kick. Winds up the arm, gets her back down on the canvas, followed it up with a stomp to the shoulder. Here's a quick pin attempt. 1, 2. As near to a near fall as we have had so far. Grace Fenwick not even there to make the rescue. Goldman slowly gets back up to a standing position. Marta Gordon with another nice judo-style takedown and a slam of the arm to Jessica Goldman. Goldman catches a wicked kick to the face from Marta. Back up on her feet. A spin kick doesn't find the mark. A drop kick doesn't find the mark. Both ladies missed their moves on that one. Goldman whipped to the ropes by Marta Gordon. Another drop kick takes her down. And here comes Frankie Pacone again. Tag. Frankie Pacone gets a hold of Goldman. Nice fisherman. Frankie Pacone seems to be really lit up here. You ain't kidding, Johnny. These girls trained like hell. There's a stomp to the shoulder of Goldman again. Jessica Goldman in trouble here as Frankie Pacone sets up a nasty leg lock, stretching the knee, stretching the legs. Jessica Goldman in some pain here as Frankie Pacone goes for the cover. 1, 2, but Grace Fenwick breaks up the pin. Frankie Pacone stalking Jessica Goldman now, maybe smelling blood in the water. Here we go. Runs it up into that armbar. But look at this. Goldman quickly escapes, slips out the back door. Misses with the kick. A chop, another chop, a third chop, and a spinning elbow takes Goldman down as Marta Gordon comes in on the tag again. Wow. Power and beauty really showing out this evening. A set of hard lefts to the head of Jessica Goldman from Marta Gordon. She is really not letting up. Goldman rolls back to a standing position. A running kick takes Marta Gordon down. Marta rolls to the outside for a hot second. Comes back in, but it's too late. Grace Fenwick brought in on the tag. A knee right to the head of Marta Gordon from Grace Fenwick. Fenwick gathered back up. Look at this. Jessica Goldman watching as her partner catches a couple of nasty shots from Marta. A swing and a miss, but a clothesline connects. As Grace Fenwick decides she's had quite enough and turns it over to Jessica Goldman. Marta Gordon standing right there waiting for her. A hard right spins Marta around. Goldman catches an elbow right to the nose. A kick to the midsection. A cheap shot from Grace Fenwick. Marta Gordon taken down on the wrong side of town. Mounted bully punches from Jessica Goldman. Marta Gordon laid out in the opposing team's corner. Jessica Goldman gathers her up, spins her around with a hard right, tags her with another hard right to the back of the head, gets her up over the shoulders in a fireman's carry. What a gruesome neck breaker. Marta's motionless. Here's a pin. 1, 2. I don't believe it. How did she kick out of that? She got that left shoulder up just in the nick of time. Jessica Goldman delivers a kick to Marta's head. A forearm takes Marta back down again. Marta Gordon looking like she might want to think about tagging out to Frankie Pacone at this point. Dragged to the UK ladies' corner, slammed headfirst into the turnbuckle. Here comes Grace Fenwick again on the tag. Double team shot to the midsection. Grace Fenwick slams Marta Gordon face down to the canvas, goes for the cover and hooks the leg. Whoa! Frankie Pacone appears to make the save out of nowhere, delivers a kick to Jessica Goldman. Marta Gordon with a foot right to the face of Grace Fenwick. As Jessica Goldman is shown to the outside by Frankie Pacone, Marta Gordon stamps the shoulder of Grace Fenwick. Fenwick gathered back up by Marta. There's a couple of kicks. A third. Another good. Ooh, Grace Fenwick quick with the counter. Whips Marta to the ropes. And a nasty kick. Takes her down. Grace Fenwick going for the pin again and again. Frankie Picone practically appearing out of no place to make the save. Fenwick with a set of rocket kicks right to the head of Marta Gordon. Grace with another kick to the face of Marta. Marta quickly turns it around, delivers a set of shots to Grace Fenwick, and quickly going for a pin. 1, 2. And Jessica Goldman was not there to make the save. Grace Fenwick might be finding herself in some trouble here. Marta Gordon with wrist clutch kicks to the side of the head of Grace Fenwick as Sylvia Strong says, look at my girls do their thing. Wow. Head first into the turnbuckle goes Grace Fenwick as Frankie Picone is brought in on the tag. Double team incoming for Grace. A whip off the ropes. Double back body drop. As the sadistic Grace Fenwick rolls to the outside. Frankie going after Jessica Goldman. A shoulder tackle puts both UK ladies on the floor on their side of the ring. Frankie Picone goes topside. Far left corner to the outside. A leg drop right across the throat of Jessica Goldman. Walt Ralph Burns starts the count as Frankie drives a knee into the head of Grace Fenwick. Jessica Goldman is laid out, motionless. Frankie Picone rounds up Grace. Grace counters with a right, gets a hold of Frankie Picone, drives a knee into her head, and now she's laid out. Grace Fenwick rolls back inside the ring. Frankie Picone back up to a standing position, trying to rally this crowd. Grace Fenwick going after Marta Gordon here with a set of 10-shot punches to the chest of Marta Gordon, and she is going to drop to the floor on the outside. Frankie Picone quickly makes it back inside after getting rid of Jessica Goldman. Grace counters Frankie with a set of elbows to the midsection, backs off Frankie Picone. Frankie counters with a kick, locks it up with Grace Fenwick. Hard whip to the ropes for Fenwick. A duck under from Frankie Picone. A leapfrog. Here comes Grace, a kitchen sink knee to the midsection. Frankie Picone with a flip over neck whip on Grace Fenwick. Frankie takes herself to the top turnbuckle. Jessica Goldman can't do nothing. There's a leg drop right across the throat of Grace Fenwick. Here's another pin attempt, but Jessica Goldman right there to spoil the party. Measuring the elbow right across the head of Grace Fenwick. Frankie Picone again smelling blood in the water here. Grace Fenwick rounded up into an armbar. The ref checking it out. He is ringing the bell. This one is over. Power and Beauty retaining the Women's World Tag Team Championships over the UK ladies.
That was amazeballs.
The time was 15 minutes, 43 seconds. Your winners and still Women's World Tag Team Champions, Power and Beauty.
Well, Johnny, looks like you'll be joining Sylvia and the gang for yet another victory celebration tonight with Power and Beauty retaining the Women's World Tags over the UK ladies. And what a win it was in an absolutely brutal matchup.
A couple of really close calls and near falls in this one, but Frankie and Marta prove again their preparedness when it comes to defending those belts, demonstrating why they are, at this moment, the premier women's tag team in the ladies division.
Well, all right. That was as exciting a supercard as we've had around here. And that's a wrap for us here tonight. Thanks to all of you viewers for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Thanks again, and don't forget, it's Rage Monday night and Snarl this upcoming Saturday. For the whole staff here at our WL, this is Wally Cardill saying thanks, good night, and be safe. We'll see you all very soon. Good night, gang.